month since I've actually gone live or shot a video and shared it here on YouTube, but I have some things that I want to say that's got zero to do with what I was talking about in the last several videos, to a point. I'm not going to talk about my mom or Tony and what's going on with them or anything related to them or anything like that, except for, to say that they're okay, loosely speaking. That's all I'm going to say here in this video about them. They're okay, to my knowledge. Because they are where they are. That's all I'm going to say. Because that's a whole nother ball of wax that I am not going to be talking about in this video. Because like I said, I even said this in the description. I have an idea for something, and this is the only place I could think of to put the video or me talking about it to get it out to all and sundry to share this idea that I had. And it's like I said in the description for this video. And oh, by the way, speaking of the description for the video, I included the links for my book on both Barnes & Noble and Amazon. And there's a GoFundMe link to help me and Tony out with stuff related to his foot. Other than, that's like the only little bit of housekeeping with this video that I wanted to discuss. Other than that, like I said in the description, as I was saying, I was over at the Boone County Library earlier today, and I got an idea for something, and I wanted to talk about it on here, because I think it's, a great idea, and it's worth sharing. Here's what my idea is. Of course, the Boone, Kenton, and Campbell County libraries here in northern Kentucky, and probably the ones in Carroll County and Pendleton County and Gallatin County, all are only open on Sunday, which is today, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. every Sunday. And then like the Boone County Library is only, the one that I go to over in Burlington is only open until 6 p.m. on Friday and 5 p.m. on Saturday, which sucks because, they're open Monday through Thursday, for example, the Boone County Library, for example. Monday through Thursday is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday through Thursday. And I wish, and I've said this to Tony, and I was thinking about it today as I was coming back here. I wish that there was a place here in northern Kentucky that was a library type setup that also was like the Burlington Boone County Library, that has a restaurant in it and different things to where you can have a small, kind of like a Potbelly sort of thing, or Panera Bread kind of thing, or even like a McDonald's or a Burger King. But I would prefer Potbelly over the other three. But I'm just saying, for example, or you can have a little sandwich or a soup. And they have designated areas to, have that kind of stuff. But you're allowed to have drinks and everything everywhere else in the thing. And they have free Wi-Fi, and it's kind of like a library setup. Kind of like what they have at the Burlington Library. Burlington, Kentucky, that is, not Vermont or whatever. But, I think it's a great idea, because there's, for example, I used to work at Convergys years ago. And I know for a fact that they're not in that building over there in Erlanger anymore. They've gone out of business. And I drove past the old Convergys building out there in Erlanger a little while ago to get here from where I was. Well, I thought, well, you know what? Somebody like Procter & Gamble and Potbelly can throw in together, buy that building, and set that up with a consortium of, Boone, Kenton, Campbell, Grant, Carroll County, Bullitt County, Pendleton County, and they do a library and restaurant setup there and run it mainly on the weekends, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they do it from 9 a.m. to like 11 p.m. or midnight even. And they have like security checkpoints where like the staff and deliveries come in on like the one side, and then like everybody, like the patrons or like deliveries, depending on like what kind of deliveries they were, come in on like the other side, and like they could totally like redo that building or whatever. And like they could have like the restaurant in the middle on the first floor, and then like they have an elevator, and it's like different like study rooms and whatever. And people like me could go in there and like work, because there's stuff that I've been hanging out at the Boone County Library off and on, and like the Canton County Library off and on, and the Campbell County Library off and on, researching stuff, and using the library for what it was intended for, when libraries first came around, reading stuff and whatever. But I thought, that would be great, because then, I could, like, I have to get Tony's out there in Florence, if this is out there in Erlanger in that building that I used to work in. I thought, well, hey, if they're open, like if it's a secure checkpoint with security guards that have guns and whatever, and like they check everybody's bags, like you go through like a whole screening thing, like you can have guns or knives, or, like the most exciting thing is, you can have a pair of scissors like this, because, like I have a pair of scissors that I might take in there with me, but usually I'm, doing what these are made for, and cutting up paper, or like, somebody comes in with like a knitting club or something, they're going to need scissors, but yeah, and like they have like all kinds of, events, and, the building is big enough to where, and like, yeah, they can like put like extra bathrooms in on both sides, like, really amp it up, and then, fix it up to where, like they can have like, have like the restaurant, if it's like a potbelly type restaurant, or like a Panera Bread type restaurant where it's like, sandwiches, like that kind of stuff would be more appropriate, and soups and salads and like the more healthier fare stuff versus like, McDonald's or, Burger King, but have it not be like outrageously expensive like Panera Bread has a bad tendency to be. I'm not knocking Panera Bread, but, they're like, when you compare like Potbelly to, like Panera Bread, Potbelly's cheaper by like a lot, and I wouldn't say McAllister's, because the McAllister's in Florence that's on the corner of Houston and Turfway, I'd say this, but that's a brand new McAllister's, and I haven't eaten there since like, I'd say what? Like February of this year, February of 2023, because like I was in there and like I took my backpack in there because I was wanting to use my headset and like my notebook and like listen to like a podcast while I was in there and write some notes and then eat. They were basically at that McAllister's trying to chase me out of there, like, like I had taken maybe 5 bites of my food, and they're like, "Are you done eating? You done eating?" I'm like, "Will you leave me alone?" If I was done eating, I would have got up and left, or I would, my plate would be empty. And it's like I've not been there in months because of, the McAllister's. Like I felt like they were trying to, it was like, get them in, get them out, get them in, get them out. And I'm like, you are a casual chain restaurant. It's like, you shouldn't be in a hurry to get people in and out. They don't even have a sign, or they didn't in February, that says, you're only allowed to be in here as long as you're eating. Because there's a McDonald's up the street from me here in Cold Spring that actually has that sign. I am not joking. It's, the one up here across the street from where the DAV used to be. And, it's like, and I can understand how, like, McDonald's, because I've seen it happen. Matter of fact, down in, I think it's either Somerset or one of those cities, Jamestown, down there in southeastern Kentucky. There's a McDonald's down there that there's these, what I would call good old boys. They're like the older gentlemen. They're the older folks, like we're talking like over 60 crowd. Like they're like 60, 70, 80 some years old, and they're in there in that McDonald's drinking coffee and shooting the breeze and, or shit, whatever you want to, they're in there, BSing, and, talking, shucking and jiving, as they used to do back in the 60s, and they'll be in there like in the back of the restaurant for like, 3-4 hours and then go home. there's the Burger King out here in Alexandria has 4 or 5 guys that does that there. For example, I've actually gone into the Burger King out here in Alexandria at like say 6 o'clock in the evening, and there's these like 6-7 guys like taking up like the whole middle section of the restaurant at like 6 or 7 tables, and they're in there playing poker or card. They're playing some kind of card game. I don't know if it's poker or gin rummy or whatever it is that they're playing, but they're in there and they're playing, talking like a bunch of old peahens and playing cards and eating burgers and drinking coffee or whatever. I mean, that's one thing, but I mean, it's kind of annoying, and I can understand why some restaurants around here are like get in and get out, but like I was saying, excuse me, and that's speaking of Burger King. I ate Burger King about 3.5, 4 hours ago almost now, and I'm still eating it. It's giving me indigestion, sorry. That's what that was. But anyway, back to what I was just talking about, how, take that old Convergence building and set it up as like a library open until like 10 p.m., 10, 11 p.m. or midnight, 12 midnight even, locally, and have like secure checkpoints for not only the workers, but, the customers that come in, and like you could go online and register to get in there, and like you have your own badge to where it's like they know who you are, and this is like, like you can like show, like it's like a picture ID. I don't have my old badge from when I worked at Convergence, but, it's like, it's like you have like a picture, well, turn it this way, say this, cell phone is like your badge or whatever, or you can even have like something, like, well, it'd have to be like a plastic badge, and, have like, like something like the size of like this credit card, like a badge like this, and like you like use it to like swipe in, and like you go through like a metal detector like at the airport, and you go through, and like then they check your stuff, granted, to make sure you're not carrying a knife or an axe or a gun or something, and the building's entirely 100% non-smoking. Like you go in there, you do your thing, and like say you leave out of there at like 10:30, 11 o'clock, you're all good. And if you wanted to, like you can, like, and they give you like a pager even, like if you want like an escort out to your car because, you don't feel safe walking outside by yourself. Like they have like the security staffing to where, somebody from the security team can walk out to your car with you and make sure that you get your stuff loaded up and get your car, and it starts up just fine, and then you go on about business, that I think that would be great. Of course, that's just me talking, but I think, like all of the local counties here in Northern Kentucky can throw in and do that, and even the Hamilton County Library that's out of Cincinnati, Ohio, can throw in with that too, and have them all like, like you can like request a book from, the Boone County Library or the Kenton County Library or the Campbell County Library or the Gallatin County Library or the Grant County Library or the Pendleton County Library or the Cincinnati, Hamilton County Library. And, it's like a big consortium of like all of them. And you can even do like the Switzerland County over there in Indiana too, throw them in there with it, and it's, something like that. And like, like I said, like this place be open mainly on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. On those 3 days from 9 a.m. to like midnight, all 3 days. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it'd be like a secure location, completely safe. Bright lights. And it's like security patrol in the area and everything like that. And I mean, it's in a location to where like it wouldn't be like backing traffic up in places or causing issues or what have you. It would be something I'd be interested in doing. And I think it's a great idea. But anyway, I mean, I don't know if somebody, even like Procter and Gamble and like Potbelly or one of those big companies, would do that, or even Walmart, even Walmart or Target or Kroger's. I mean, Kroger's could have like a whole produce section or something, like healthy food section or something, or Myers even. But it just was something that I got to thinking about. I'm like, yeah, because that would help out somebody like me who is like I really don't have anything going on other than what I've been working on or researching. And like I don't want to have to come all the way back here just to hang out for 3-4 hours, to drive all the way back out to Florence to go get Tony, because that runs out the gas. And Tony's been kind of telling me off over that. And I try not to, but it is what it is. And I think that this would be a great idea if somebody had something like that, where people can go do that and everything, with like spending time doing but they have to be going there. And this is something I should mention too. Like people that would be going to this place would have to be going there to do like research or like testing for the GMAT, the GRE, the SAT, the PSAT, the ACT. Like they would have to have like a educational purpose reason to go there, or like like they're involved in some kind of like club, like a knitting, tatting and chatting club or something. And and it's like like they're allowed to be there for like up to like I'd say like 10 hours maximum, and then they need to go home. I mean, because I could see me sitting there for 10 hours, because believe me, it's like once I get to working on what I've been working on for the last year and a half, it's like how it is once you get you get to doing your thing. You're like, I just want to keep working. I want to keep working. I want to keep going. You're like the Energizer Bunny. You just keep going and going and going. That's what I'd like to be able to do, is like to go over there, be completely safe, be like in a study room where I can sit all my stuff out on a table, and like I can like thumb through a book, like I can have like like say this is Cross Your Fingers and Spit in Your Hat by Alvin Schwartz. He also wrote the Scary Stories trilogy. Like I could be sitting there with like like a book open, like this, and be like on like reading this and then transposing it into like a Word document or whatever, and be doing what I want to be doing or need to be doing. Like we could be writing like school reports or essays, and or like master's thesis or whatever. And like you could be working on that and get that done, and not have people bothering you, and like have like a lot of like really good Wi-Fi. Because I noticed, as like a matter of fact, like today and yesterday, for example, I noticed that the Boone County Library over in Burlington, their Wi-Fi kept dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. And I'm like, the heck? I'm like, what the heck? I'm like I was on there, and like I was trying to find something on, for example, Guntown Mountain, because that's a theme park down in Cave City, Kentucky, that's been struggling the last 10, 15 years maybe, The last time that Tony and I were at Guntown Mountain or drove past Guntown Mountain in 2017, it was like around September 20th, 2017, it was closed down. And they've been having issues. Like the last time it was open that I can think of off the top of my head was right before Tony and I got married in 2004. Tony and I married in 2005, in September of 05. And we were up there in September of 04, or July, or about this time of year, in like in August, beginning, end of July, beginning of August of 2004. And, they've been struggling ever since. And it's like, I was like thinking, oh my God, like I know I saw an article about the fact that, like, for example, Guntown Mountain, the owners of it are talking about, like, like they could sell the top part by itself and the bottom part by itself, or sell the whole shebang all in one big go. And I'm like sitting there thinking, I know I read an article about that, and this one former Tennessee Titan football player buying Kentucky Action Park that's down the street from them there in Cave City. And I'm like sitting there thinking, I know I'm not crazy. I know I saw that. And it's like stuff like that, like because I was, writing something about the fact that, like, for example, Mammoth Cave found like another 30, 40 miles of new cave that hadn't been discovered yet. And the fact that, Guntown Mountain is being sold, and it's like, the Kentucky Action Park's being reopened that has like the Alpine mountain slides, going down the hill that you ride chairlift up for, and bumper cars and go-karts and horseback riding and all this stuff. And I'm like thinking, I know I'm not crazy. I know I saw that article. And you all know how that is. Like, you saw that, and now you'd be dipped if you can remember where it was and what it said, and you're like looking it up. I finally found it last night, and then I pulled it up today. I like texted myself a copy of it so that way I could pull it up and read it again for real, and it made me feel better. Like, okay, I didn't imagine it, but yeah, I mean, and it's stuff like that, like where you can like research stuff and like find things out, and like, have like rental laptops and, like computers you can buy, like regular desktop computers that you can use, and, different things, and, do like research and stuff. And then, you can like borrow like the laptops and whatever if you need to, and do what you need to do. And then have like the study rooms to go with it. But like you'd have to also like reserve the study rooms. And like one thing, and this is something else about the study rooms that I think would be a great idea, is like, okay, what happens is like, okay, you can lock the room down yourself, and you have like a key. Like when you have to reserve the room like a day in advance, or at the bare minimum 24 hours in advance. And like when you arrive, you check in at like at the front desk or whatever, and like they go take you to the room that you're going to be in, and like they they have a key for you to wear, like, like on like a wristband or whatever, and like they let you in, give you the key, and then shut the door behind you, and you turn on the light, and you're in there doing your thing in peace. And you have like enough, like, like you have spots where you can like spread out, and put your stuff like, all over the table and what have you, and be able to do what you need to do. And then you have like areas where you can like hide your purse if you're a girl, or stow your backpack or whatever, like above your head. But like you have to make sure that you get it out before you leave. And it's like say you get the room for like 9 hours, like what'll happen is, like when it gets close to being like the end of the 9 hours, like the librarian or whomever, whatever they decide to call them, comes up, like I'd say like half an hour before, like, say, for example, you get, like, one of the study rooms from, like, say, 12 noon to 8 p.m., for example. Say at 7:30, like, they come up, knock on the door and say, okay, it's, 7:30, start wrapping it up. And, start thinking about, or do you need more time? For example, and if you're like, well, I need more time, like, they can give you, like, how much longer do you think you need? An extra half an hour. Like, you can do it in half-hour increments. 30 minutes, another hour. But, like, if it's, like, like closing time, like, say it's, like, say they close at 12 midnight, for example. And they come up and it's 11:30 and they're like, okay, you need to start wrapping this up. They're not going to give you the option of having, like, an extra hour because they close at midnight. You've got to be out of there by, like, or actually, if they come up at, like, 11:20 because, like, you need to be out of the room by 11:50, to give them enough time to go up there or go to the room, like, inspect it, clean it, get the key from you, get you on out of there, and then lock it up. And they'd be like, okay, well, it's 11:20. You need to start wrapping it up. And, they come back up at, like, in 15 minutes, at 11:35 and be like, okay, you need to get it on, get it moving on down the street or, like, closer to, like, and then be standing at the door at 11:45 and say, okay, you got 5 minutes to get out. And, like, make sure, like, if you need help, like, they help you wrap it up and get it on out of there, and then they get the key from you at 10 till 12 or 11:50 p.m. And then you can, go on your merry little way, and get out, but, like, if it's, like, say 8 o'clock, like, they come up at, 7:30 and be like, hey, do you need to have the room extended out to 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30, but, like, the longest you can have it is 10 hours, and say, say the 10 hours is, like, noon to 10, for example. The longest you can have it is from, like, 10-hour window, and say you have it from 12 noon to 10 p.m. At 10 p.m. or like at 9:30, they come up and they're like, okay, it's been 10 hours, you kind of, need to start wrapping it up here. Like they come up and periodically check on you to make sure you haven't gone in there and offed yourself or something, or fallen asleep, or, like to the point where you died in your sleep or something. Like they come up every couple hours, like say they drop you off at noon in the room, and they come up at 2 to check on you. They come up at 4, like they come up at like 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we investigate? I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. And then at 9:30 they come up and they're like, your 10 hours is almost up. Please, think about wrapping it up and cleaning your stuff up so you can leave at 10. And then, like they show up at like 9:50 or 10 till 10 and be like, okay, you need to, kind of like, do you need help wrapping it up, or whatever. So that way, like, they get you out right at 10 so they can clean it up, and get everything going. And I think that would work, I mean, I know I would enjoy it, a lot. And it's just, and so that way they can get any trash out of there, and like they have like housekeeping come up and stuff, so that way they can clean. Granted, and this is something else that I want to say is, what I think is a great idea is that way that also creates jobs. They're always crying about, there's less jobs than there are people looking for them. I'm like, okay, well, here you go. This just flooded the market with more jobs, like housekeeping, and it's like the librarian jobs and the security jobs. Well, the librarian jobs, they're just basically, like, just regular clerks. They'd be clerks. And then like armed security guards and regular security guards. And there's like checkpoints. Excuse me, and whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think that would be great, is to have a place that's open, especially on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, until like midnight. That's like a safe, secure library setting, with study rooms and whatever. And, with the express intention that, like, people like, college kids, are there. And it's like you don't, and it's like you have to, like, you get like a badge or whatever, and you have to register in order to use the place, and you have to state why you're going there to use it. And it's like, they can, approve your usage of the place or not. And, like, if you get this, like, if they don't approve it, it's like something like, well, we didn't approve your thing because, like, you're known to show up and be disruptive and be like, and acting the fool, as my father would say. And it's like, you have to be coming here with the explicit intention of, like, writing a book, doing some research, for a book, or, like, studying for your finals, and you just happen to be in the area, or like studying for like a class, or like you're a student somewhere, and you have the GRE, the GMAT, the SAT, the PSAT, the ACT, the LSAT, the GMAT, or some big wig-picking college-related test, collegiate level test to take care of, or you need help writing like a thesis, like your master's thesis or your doctoral thesis or something along those lines, and like you're in there with the express point of being able to go in there and work, and then like have like, like a little like a tuna salad sandwich with like a coffee, on the side and what have you, and be able to work without somebody just like being totally disruptive and acting the fool, as Dad would say, while you're there. And it's just, and it works. I mean, granted, yeah, that would give a lot of people jobs. And like they have like shift managers and like, like the general manager of like the area and whatever. And it's like, they can do cash and credit, or, like Venmo or PayPal or whatever. It's like the place is totally, like, 21st century payment friendly. And it's like cardless, cashless, like you can do cash too. And it'd be, geared towards people that are there to actually do. And it's like, when have any games to rent out or any video games or anything like that. This is just purely for people that are going there to study, write a book, do some research, prepare for an exam of some sort, stuff like that. And that's why you would have to register. And, and it's like they would also help you, like if you, like, say, are writing a book, like I've been doing, like, over the last 3 years, and, like, you want and or need help getting financing to get a book published, say, through, like, my publisher, Fulton Books, for example, just for an example. And, like, they help you get grants for that, and, like, they help you work towards that, and help promote, your books through, like, the area libraries and what have you, for example. And I think that would be a great idea, and it would provide not only a lot of jobs for people and, a place for people to go study in peace, but it would also allow, people to get jobs and, a lot of constructive stuff going on. Well, anyway, that's just something I've had knocking around in my head for like the last 2-3 weeks or something, and I feel like I just really had to get on here and talk about that. And like I said at the beginning of this video, on the description of this video, there's links to my book, Mammoth Cave book. And there's also a GoFundMe page to help with like stuff with Tony's foot and what have you. And if you can, I know I've talked about this in just about every other video, but in closing, if you want to help with that, go right ahead. But please, speaking of me writing that book and everything on Mammoth Cave, if you could buy multiple copies of the book, and also go help with the GoFundMe page too, because I would appreciate that, and so would Tony. All right. But anyway, like I was saying though, this is an idea about like a place to go that you can work on books or research or studying for like the GRE, the GMAT, the LSAT, the ACT, the SAT, and they can also proctor tests. That was something I forgot to mention. They can also proctor tests, but that's what I was thinking. Well, anyway, I'm gonna pause here, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.